This terrifying serial killer is still on the loose, and he may have already claimed his next victim. There are so many things that make this case particularly terrifying. For one, we don't know who this person is, or even if they're male or female. But perhaps most scary of all, they may not be done killing yet. This is the most wanted man in America, but also potentially the woman. And here's why. It all started back in December of 2017, when two people were found shot dead inside of an Albertsons grocery store located in West Allis, Wisconsin. The victims were identified as Maria S. Perez, a 53-year-old mother, and her daughter, 52-year-old Maria H. Hernandez. They were both well known for working at the store. They had worked there for years. It was noted that the employees were extremely shocked and upset about the news. One said, "It's just crazy because it could have been any one of us." At the time of the shooting, surveillance cameras captured a single suspect entering the store wearing a blue jacket and a black beanie, with a grey hooded sweatshirt underneath. The suspect appeared to have had some sort of altercation with another individual inside of the store before the shooting occurred. It was later revealed that this individual that the suspect fought with was none other than Maria Perez. While we don't know exactly what caused the fight, it seemed that the suspect had an issue with the way that Maria had been serving him. After their argument, the suspect left the store. However, moments later, he came back inside and began shooting. He fired at least 8 rounds, striking both Maria and her daughter. The gunman then fled the scene and, despite a large manhunt, police were unable to locate him. Although incredibly sadly, this wasn't the end of the crime spree. Just 4 days later, on December 21, 2017, 2 more people were found shot dead in a separate incident. The victims were identified as 47-year-old Justin C. Smith and 65-year-old Donald A. Smith, father and son. They were discovered by Justin S.'s wife, who returned home from shopping to find them both lying dead on the floor in front of the couch. There was also a third victim at the scene, 43-year-old Mary N. Smith, who was the mother of Justin and the ex-wife of Donald. She was rushed to the hospital where she sadly passed away from her injuries. Their killer had once again struck. Although the motive and the connection between these two incidents were not immediately clear, police were able to recover surveillance footage from the Smith family home. The footage showed a lone gunman fleeing the scene. He was seen wearing the same blue jacket and black beanie that had been seen in the earlier crime. Police released the footage to the public, and it didn't take long for somebody to recognize the man. In fact, someone actually recognized the shoes that he was wearing. The person who recognized the shoes was none other than the manager of the Albertsons grocery store. When she saw the video, she immediately called the police to inform them that the shoes belonged to one of her employees, the same employee who was missing at the time. The employee was later identified as 57-year-old Radvilsky. However, despite knowing the identity of the suspect, police still couldn't find him. An extensive manhunt ensued, but led to nothing. For months, nobody had any idea where he was or if he would strike again. Then, in May of 2018, more than 5 months after the crimes, Radford's car was found abandoned near a hotel in Colorado. However, he was nowhere to be found. Days later, authorities searched a remote area of northern Colorado using a helicopter, cadaver dogs, and even a sonar-equipped boat. This was all based on new information that they received. But again, Radvilas was nowhere to be found. In November of 2019, more than 2 years after the crimes, a hunter discovered human remains while out in the woods in Fort Morgan, Colorado. The bones were sent off to a forensic anthropologist who was able to confirm that they did in fact belong to Rat. To this day, nobody knows what happened to him. It's unclear how he died or if he even died. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Who is this Radvilas guy? What makes him so terrifying? Well, it all comes down to one word: motive. Why did he do it? The answer to this question is unknown. There was no connection between him and the Perez or the Smith families. In fact, he shouldn't have even been in the grocery store. He was just an employee. But the reason behind the crime is not the scariest part. After the shooting in the store, he went to the Smith family home and shot Donald and Justin Smith, as well as Justin's wife, Mary. And although he was unsuccessful in killing Mary, he returned to the store just days later and killed 2 more innocent people. So, what is his motive? Well, we don't know, and that's what makes him so scary. Do you think he could strike again? Will he be satisfied until he claims his next victim? That's something that police are worried about. Despite the fact that he's been dead for years, they believe that he could still be alive. Of course, it's highly unlikely, but with zero evidence, anything is possible. Radvilas was described as being exceptionally tall, over 6 feet, with an athletic build. At the time of the crime, he had been unemployed for several weeks. He had lost his job at the Pick N Save grocery store due to accusations made by a co-worker. His personnel file revealed that he had been reprimanded for leaving customers unattended in the pharmacy area. But that wasn't the only concerning thing in his file. He had also received multiple complaints for engaging in inappropriate relationships with underage girls. One complaint even mentioned that he had exposed himself to a minor and had asked her to keep it a secret. Something else that's really bizarre about this case is that Radvilas had Googled himself multiple times after the shooting, including searching the terms West Alice shootings and Radvilas. It seems that he wanted to see how he was being portrayed in the media. He also made Google searches like "where can I hide my face" and "how to get rid of fingerprints." To say that this man is a psychopath would be a horrific understatement. Something else that we should mention is that there was a woman who came forward claiming that she had been in a relationship with Radvilas. She told police that he was very possessive and controlling and had even threatened her life at one point. She said, "I kept telling him, 'You've got to stop this behavior.' But he said he was going to go to prison someday. He was already sentenced in his mind. He said he was going to go out in a blaze of glory. She also claimed that he had gone missing right around the time of the murders, but that he had returned home soon after. Of course, DNA evidence later proved that he had been in Colorado at the time of the murders, but that didn't prove that he was the killer. Well, despite the fact that Radvilas was never charged or convicted, police are adamant that he was the perpetrator. In fact, they haven't even released his body to his family. They have continued to treat him as a person of interest in the case. Now, here's why. Following the discovery of his remains, the FBI decided to dig deeper into the case. They uncovered information that tied Radvilas to another murder that had been committed in Waukesha, Wisconsin on September 10, 2017. This was just 3 months before the other crimes and involved the death of 53-year-old Carrie J. Vanden Avond. The FBI believes that Radvilas is responsible for her death as well, but he was never charged. So legally, he's still innocent. However, evidence recovered from the crime scenes in both Wisconsin and Colorado matched Radvilas. His fingerprint was even found on a piece of paper inside the Smith family home. So now the question is, was Radvilas a serial killer? Did he commit at least 3 murders? Or was he just a troubled man who snapped and took the lives of 3 innocent people? Maybe. There will likely never be an answer to this question, which is what makes the case so terrifying. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Also, be sure to check out the links in the description for more videos. I'll see you next time.